Welcome, welcome. My name is Michael Dinsey. I'm one of the founders of Next Level Consultants. I'm super excited about today's webinar. You guys are going to learn all about case acceptance from one of the very best coaches that we have on this topic, Nicole Yount. Couple of housekeeping things before we bring Cole into the webinar and she starts the presentation. Well, first of all, thank you. But most first and foremost, but on the very right side, if you're not familiar with this software, there's a comments up there, and we really would like for you guys to participate. I know it's on the lunch hour, and you're probably busy getting food and doing all the things you're doing on a day if you are clinical. But we would love for you to engage. These presentations are designed for engagement. And I think you get way more when you do engage. So please engage. We'll be monitoring those. Nicole will answer any questions you have on the topic. So just go in there and hit that comment. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to bring Nicole on and bring in her presentation. But a little bit about Nicole. She'll give you a little bit more about her background. But Nicole has a wealth of knowledge. She's been a TR, a treatment coordinator for an ortho practice for many, many years and crushed that position. She parlayed that into Invisalign, worked for Invisalign, helping practices incorporate clear aligner therapy and workflow and overall patient experience. And so this girl knows how to sell treatment. She's not a girl, she's a woman, but she's amazing. And we're lucky to have her on the Next Level team. But please get what you can out of this, because one thing that I see going into practices is below average or average case acceptance. And I just feel like this is something that every doctor can work on. It'll put more money in your pocket. It will make your patients healthier. And overall, it'll boost the practice's success. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Nicole in. Hey, Nicole, good to see you.
Hi.
I butchered your intro, but
Yeah, you did.
only you can do better on that. But thanks for putting this on today. And I just wanted to say hi to everybody that was participating. So.
Thanks, Michael. And because I'll be going into presentation mode here in just a second. If you can help me monitor that chat, I don't think I'll be able to see it once I start presenting just in the mode that we are. So if you can help me with that, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Got it. Have a great webinar, guys. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks. Hey, everyone. Thanks again for being here, taking some time out of your lunch hour, or for those in a different time zone, maybe you're starting your happy hour. But appreciate you jumping on and learning about case acceptance mastery, a subject that's near and dear to my heart. As Michael said, I was a treatment coordinator in an ortho office for over 10 years and was an Invisalign territory manager, but found myself, the conversations in those offices were less about aligners and more questions around case acceptance and how do we get patients to say yes to treatment and how do we present this, and whether it's clear aligners, whether it's a full mouth case, it doesn't matter what it is. The framework for it is really the same. So I hope you take something out of today. As Michael said, we like to make this engaging and fun. And then I'll be hosting and putting up my information at the end of this so that if we need to take some one-off conversations, we certainly can. But let's go ahead and jump right on in. Okay. So case acceptance mastery, how to get our patients to say yes. I'm sure many of you have heard another webinar, maybe a consultant you've had in the past, a territory manager, a ebook for that matter. You've heard some form of this, but really there's a simplified framework. And I think if you can get really good at this and make it an initiative or a priority and focus within your practice, you really will start to see the pieces of the puzzle come together, and ultimately your case acceptance numbers will be boosted. So, excuse me. A little bit about why we're here. So we're here today to master the art of case acceptance with proven strategies to confidently present treatment plans, overcome objections, and increase patient commitment. And what I'm going to be showing you today is really what we here at Next Level have the pleasure of being in, many practices nationwide. And we're bringing those best practices and what we see works to you today in a more simplified form. And again, think of this as more of like a framework, and we can get really granular, really in depth with this. But if you can wrap your minds around this general framework, I think and put it into play, I think you will see some case acceptance increases. So the reality of case acceptances. So many practices successfully do get their patients to say yes to comprehensive treatment plans, even in uncertain times. So how do they do that? How do they get these patients to say yes? And whether it's an economy thing or we're angry about who the president is, I mean, it doesn't matter. But how do we overcome this? And really the key is understanding patient psychology and having a structured approach around that. The formula for case acceptance that we have found here at Next Level, that I found in my career, that really, again, if you put this into play, really helps. And when I say put this into play, I mean everyone from your front office to your assistants to your hygienist and to my doctor. So if we can adopt this as a team and again put it in the forefront and make it an initiative, you will start to see success. So to increase our yes rates, I want you to try and focus on the following. An abundance mindset. What I mean by that is stop assuming objections and start guiding patient decisions. How do we do that? We'll jump into that a little bit more through co-diagnosing, through visual tools, different things. But again, change that mindset to an abundance mindset. We want to understand the patient's why. So people say yes when they connect emotionally, whether that's to what's being said. Some people are just visual. You show them the problem and they can see it on the screen there, whether it's with a digital scanner, with intraoral photo, an x-ray they probably can't read. But if it's something that they see visually, they might be more apt just to say yes. You may get those patients that they're easy to convert. Then you get ones who they're going to turn to their hygienist who's been cleaning their teeth for 15, 20 years, and they're just simply going to say, well, what do you think? Regardless of what doctor's in there saying or diagnosing, they're going to turn to that hygienist who they've had that long-standing relationship with and ask, do I really need this? What do you think? And they have that emotional connection with that person. Visual treatment plans. Gone are the days of archaic and really kind of frank, bleak treatment presentation. So if we are presenting something just on paper with a bunch of jargon that the patient doesn't understand, along with a big lump sum of what the cost is, you're likely not going to see a conversion. So they want to see the value, not just the cost. And you provide the value by talking to it in simple terms and that patients can understand, and by giving them a visual tool. And then we finally, strategic communication. So how are we presenting the plan is going to make all the difference. And really that piece, the strategic communication and how we're presenting the plan, for me, it's all hands on deck. It's not just the job of a treatment coordinator. This is a full circle moment. Everyone from your front desk person to, again, your assistants, your hygienist, the doctor, the treatment coordinator, the financial coordinator, whatever role you have within the practice, that piece truly is an all team effort. And if we can really master that, again, I think you'll see conversion rates go up. So with that formula in mind, let's jump into mindsets. So the mindset shift. So abundance over scarcity. And what I mean by that, when we look at high performing practices, they're focusing on patient goals and not just a patient's financial concerns. So if we can understand on the front end what our patient's concern is, if they have any, hopefully they do when they're coming in to see us, that there's some sort of concern. If not, we politely bring it up to them. That's our job as clinicians. But really, if we can get our minds around taking that financial piece off, because everyone can have a financial concern, take that away and really what their goals are for oral health, for their smile, etc. We can start to see that we can shift their mindset, and really a lot of times we need to shift our own. We assume that the patient is going to come back with an objection of I can't afford it or I don't have time, things like that. So a scarcity mindset, we're assuming patients can't afford treatment or are going to say no. Our abundance mindset, we want to present comprehensive care confidently, knowing the right patients will say yes. All right. So understanding patient motivation, the why, in my opinion, is way more important than the how. We know how we're going to get there, but what is our patient's why? We need to understand that. So instead of jumping into treatment details first, we want to uncover what does the patient value most about their teeth, or what past dental experiences have shaped their mindset. I personally like to understand both. A lot of people will just go with the one, what does the patient value most about their teeth? I think really especially if it's a new patient coming to us, we want to know what their past dental experience was. Maybe they had a terrible experience, maybe they had a great experience, and they're looking to and hoping with a different dentist in a different state, and now they're coming to you, they've moved, they've relocated, that we want to provide that same sort of service to them. We also want to know what they value most about their teeth. What's important to them? Longevity? Is it just wider teeth, straighter teeth, whatever it may be? But really understanding the importance of this, we coach a ton on this here at Next Level. We call this the WMI. It's what's most important. It's an entire workshop that we do, which is absolutely wonderful and engaging and really will help you understand how to identify those patients and what's most important to them. And this isn't something we have to sit and do a knee-to-knee interview with our patients for 20 to 30 minutes in the chair. This can be as simple as an intake form where you're asking them a series of 5 short questions and they're filling that out. And then it's really important that we are marking this somewhere in their chart, not in a note section that's going to go away or get buried by 20 other things, but a way that we all in a way that we also decide, a cohesive way that we all know what one another's talking about. Again, we're speaking the same language about this patient. So really understanding their motivators is incredibly important as we're thinking about this, this huge case fee that we're going to be presenting them. So asking the right questions, understanding the answers that your patients are giving you helps you frame the treatment and the presentation in a way that resonates with them. So here's again, maybe 4 of these interview questions you could ask your patient, either verbally or on a new intake form. Now, of course, this is easy to do with your new patients, but I get a lot of pushback. Well, Nicole, it seems weird if I wanted to ask my existing patients this, and not at all. I think that the workaround or the verbiage around that is, Mrs. Jones, we are updating some systems within our practice. We're taking on a new initiative, really wanting to know our patients on a deeper level. Even though we know a lot about you, been coming to our practice for years, we want to know where you're at in your smile journey right now. Would you mind answering these 4 questions? So these 4 questions can be as simple as, what's most important to you about your smile? What has your past dental experience been like? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your smile? And finally, what would need to happen to make that a 10 for you? Now, I'm gonna pause and take a minute right here, because I think, again, don't just hand them a sheet of paper, have them write this down and then dismiss it. I really want you to have, and this can be my assistants, my hygienist, it could even be a front office person for that matter, whoever's doing this. I want them to take the time to go over these answers with their patients intentionally. It's really important that we do that. And it's really important that we find a way to communicate this to one another, especially to our doctor who's about to walk in the room, who's meeting this patient for the first time, again, going back to that new patient scenario. But if we can understand our patient's goals and what's important to them, again, when it does come time to present that treatment, we have a way of guiding them to that decision versus just spouting out, here's what we need to do, here's clinically what's going to happen, here's the cost. I think if you can guide them and, again, do more of that co-discovery and you're co-diagnosing together, you'll again really get to a place with your patients where you know them on a deeper level and you've got this information now. So whether it's a crown or if it's clear liners or whatever procedure it may be within the office, we've now got this information about our patient, and we know before they come in what type of conversation we need to have with them as we're guiding them to that treatment. And my goal, have them convert same day and do same day treatment. But that's, again, another plug for why you might need us as a consultant. So the power of visual treatment plans. So as I mentioned earlier, gone are the days of the old methods of paper printouts with procedure names and cost. I'll go as far to challenge you as, even when you're printing out a treatment plan from your software, to be honest, it's not my personal favorite. I don't like printouts from Dentrix. I don't like treatment printouts from any software for that matter, especially if it's a big case, if it's clear aligners, whatever it may be. I like to have something that's a little bit more custom to my practice. And what I mean by that is maybe it's simple as it's got your logo on it. And then you've got the treatment breakdown. You've got the cost. And again, and I'm going to use clear aligners as an example, but you've got the cost of how the patients will understand it. And it's as simple as the first line item is the overall cost for clear aligner treatment, the length of time, the down payment options, insurance estimates, and again, patient portion. So it makes it simple for them. It's not all this jargon of dental terms and insurance codes that they don't understand. It's a nice clean way to give them something to take home that, again, if you get that pushback of I need to ask my husband or whatever it may be, that they're able to reiterate and regurgitate what you said in the office. And again, I think it's really, really important with visual treatment plans that we're giving them some sort of before photo. So whether we've taken a scan and we print out the scan, whether we've taken an intraoral photo about the area of concern, we're printing that out and giving it to them. They need to go home with a visual. Everyone now is so visual. And I call it the Uberized mindset, right? We're constantly in front of our little mini computers here, and everyone's used to having that visual and something in front of them. So why aren't we doing that in our practices, in our dental practices? And we're presenting this treatment, and we're presenting something that is $5,000, $6,000, upwards of that. Why are we just printing something out with some numbers on it and throwing it to the wind? They've got to go home with some sort of visual. So the new method is really visually designed treatment plans. And what do I mean by that? Again, you can create really easily, you can create documents in different forms with Canva or whatever you may use that can give you those customized treatment plans for some of those ancillary services. So if you need help with that, we can connect on it afterwards. I have lots of ideas and templates on that. But again, it's a really nice, clean way to send your patient home with something that is top of mind, looks nice, isn't just a bunch of numbers and jargon they don't understand. And that, again, they can talk to a spouse or a partner about it if they need to make that financial decision. So when we're taking a visual treatment plan into consideration, we want pre-op photos showing the problems. We want to highlight it. We want simple, patient-friendly descriptions. Keep it short. I don't even care if you're circling an area of lower crowding and you just put crowded teeth or crooked teeth, just something they can understand. A clear investment breakdown and not just the cost. So we're not just throwing this lump sum at them. We're giving them a clear investment breakdown. And I'm going to pause right there as well. When I give a treatment fee quote, I typically will say, this is your smile investment breakdown. This is something with the word investment. They're investing in themselves. You're investing in this patient as their provider, as their clinician, as their team. But I love the word investment because they truly are making an investment in their self and their oral health. When we want to invest in patient education tools. So if you haven't done so already and you don't have a scanner or you don't have intraoral cameras, anything of the sorts, I highly encourage you to get with the times. I don't mean to be blunt, but you're behind the times completely if you haven't done so already and invested in some sort of patient education tool. If you want recommendations on that, I can give you my top 3, 5 in either category. We can talk about that. But it's really important that we're investing in some sort of digital tool to educate our patients. It'll also help you really with those chairside and co-discovery moments and the need co-discovery and co-diagnosing with your patients as well. Talk the same talk. So we want everyone in the office talking the same talk, walking the same walk all the time. So what I mean by that is we want every point of contact within the office that we're talking about the same thing. So whatever treatment's being presented, there's different ways within each role within the practice that we want to be talking about that treatment that was presented to our patient. And then finally, creating those co-discovery moments, super important. It's as simple as when we are giving a treatment plan that we're sitting the patient up. I can't tell you how many practices I've walked in and the doctor or hygienist or whoever it may be, treatment coordinator, is trying to explain a treatment recommendation to the patient. And they've got the patient laid back, mouth still open, bib on, sunglasses on. It's a terrible way to do it. Sit your patient up. Ask for the sunglasses so you can see their eyes, get around them, wheel the chair over to them so that you're looking at them straight in the eye and you're really having that honest conversation. If you're using a digital tool, we are pointing and we're talking to that digital tool. We're engaging our patients. And then understanding how patients make decisions. So the psychology of case presentation. This is another thing that here at Next Level, we coach heavily on. This is an entire 2-hour workshop that we do with our clients on understanding their patients, understanding their team, but it really, really can help. And as we go through this, you'll have some patients that come to mind that, oh my gosh, that's my patient. Oh my gosh, I can think of Betty who came in, 6 weeks ago. This is how she thinks. But and it kind of goes along the lines, if you've done DISC or any of those types of exercises, it's similar to that. I'm just giving a very kind of broad overview of this. But emotional versus logical thinking. So patients make decisions based on emotion first and then justify with logic. Some people are different. It can go the either way, but those are really the first two key things and the only two when we're trying to make a decision. We want to connect emotionally by understanding their motivations, fears, and desires. That goes back to that questionnaire or that patient interview that we're doing. We're going to understand that going into this. The importance of trust. So patients don't say yes unless they trust you and the proposed treatment. How do we build that trust? Through empathy. We're going to acknowledge their concerns. Mrs. Jones, you expressed your concern about X, Y, and Z. We're going to provide transparency, provide clear, honest recommendations. I recommend, based off of your concern, X, Y, and Z. Personalization, make it about them and not just your teeth. To improve your overall oral health, I am recommending X, Y, and Z. But again, taking it back to really acknowledging their concern and keeping their motivators at the forefront as we're moving through this. Okay. So patient personas and communication styles. So again, this is going to, a lot of you have probably done DISC or again, something very similar. This is a simplified version of that just for today's purpose, because I could do an entire 4-hour webinar on DISC and how to use it with team and with patients. But the analyzer, so they're going to need details. They are going to want to study the x-rays with you, and they want to understand everything that's going on in their mouth. These are our time suck patients that take up all the time in our chair, that we're waiting for doctor in the next room and tapping our fingers because we know this patient's not going to shut up. So, but those patients are important. We just have to know going in and before they come into our op and sit in our chair, we know that they're going to need details. We know that they're going to want to see images and that they want to understand every single thing that's going on. It's important for our front office to know this too, or a treatment coordinator. Oftentimes when I'd have an analyzer that was in a clinical chair, we knew when that patient came in, we're going to book an extra little 5-10 minutes with Nicole to really, really get into the weeds really and get really granular with this patient to understand everything that's happening, all the proposed treatment and the why behind it. And that's okay. Those patients are great. We just know they're going to take a little extra time and really want to know every single little detail about what's going on. The driver, this is me. I'm the driver. I want quick, clear decisions and no fluff. So you're going to have these people who they're going to sit in your chair and really, if they trust you, no matter what you tell them, Nicole, I see X, Y, and Z. I recommend this. I'm going to say, okay, when do you want to see me back? Those are easy patients. They aren't really going to question anything. Again, it goes back to that trust factor, but it's important that we don't walk into the op knowing we have a driver in the chair and do what an analyzer needs details, studies, x-rays, wants to understand everything. If we go at it from that approach, we're going to lose that driver. They're going to get up and leave without scheduling their next appointment or without converting to treatment. The realtor, so they need an emotional connection, reassurance, and relationship. Insert my hygienist here that's been cleaning Mrs. Jones' teeth for X amount of years. She's going to have that emotional connection and that relationship with that patient. So that patient's likely, again, going to be looking to the hygienist. And sorry for the background noise. We have a puppy who I can't control what she does. I thought all the squeaky toys were put away. Apparently not. But they're going to need that reassurance from whoever it may be. And maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a partner, maybe it's a friend. They're going to need some sort of connection, reassurance, and relationship. So it's important for these people when they're sitting in our chair that we are maybe saying the same thing over and over and reassuring them constantly. And that's okay. They need to hear it more than once. They almost need permission, right, to convert to treatment or to say yes. Then we have the avoider. Doesn't want details, just wants to know what is necessary, or is this necessary? These ones are hard. These patients are really hard. With these patients, I like to keep it almost like an analyzer, where I'm again, not with the details, but I'm keeping it very short, very concise, but short. You need this because, or you can take the problem consequence solution model, which is, I see X, Y, and Z. I'm concerned because X, Y, and Z. I recommend X, Y, and Z. I need to see you back in 2 weeks, or whatever it may be. But they do not want those details. They're just going to question every single little thing that you are recommending for treatment. Those ones are tough, but they can be overcome. You can do it. I can promise you that. All right. Moving on to overcoming objections. So the top 3 objections and how to overcome them, we know what they are. You could spout them out with your eyes closed. It's cost, fear, and time. So the cost, this is too expensive. So as we're moving through this, remember, we want to take into account when a patient gives us an objection, there's also a waterfall of things that happened. We didn't understand their why. They didn't trust us. Okay. Or they simply didn't understand the value. So those are 3 things that we really, really want to get good at when we're facing objections. This all, again, connects and goes back to the patient interview. Okay. To understanding our patient's personas. So that's going to all play a role into these objections. So, number 1, right? The number 1 thing we all hear, it's too expensive. Our solution, we want to shift the conversation from price to value. We're going to explain the long-term benefits of treatment. We're going to offer financial options, and we're going to use comparisons. I love this one. This costs less than a daily coffee habit over time. I loved using that one in practice. It was a good one, right? But if you can break that down for people, sometimes that's it's a light bulb moment for them. But I want to go back to the first bullet point there and explaining the long-term benefits of treatment. So again, if someone doesn't understand the cost, they're not understanding the why and the value behind it. So we want to get really good at why this treatment is important, regardless of price, why it needs to be done sooner rather than later, and how it's going to improve their oral health over time. 2, fear. I'm scared of the procedure. So we all have nervous Nellies. And in those patients, we do want to treat with a little extra TLC. So the solution to these patients is we're going to acknowledge, reassure, and educate. And it may take 1 or more visits with these guys, right? Because again, we're having to reassure and spend a lot of time validating and spend a lot of time explaining. They're going to feel overwhelmed. They're going to feel nervous. They're going to feel all those emotions that we are, as clinicians, as a team, have to know that about this patient and have to know that we're going to have to spend some extra time with them. We're going to explain that now, hopefully we've gotten some away from archaic dentistry and we are in our office using modern and painless techniques. And then we're going to share past patient success stories. This is always a nice one too. I liked using this one when I could look a patient in the eye and say, Mrs. Jones, I had someone not too long ago, just like you, was incredibly fearful, overwhelmed, didn't know what to expect. And this was her experience after the fact, or after we walked her through it. I also like offering these patients an additional consultation too. So if they need more time or another explanation, you can invite them back into the office, and that's okay. Or maybe just a phone call. Maybe it's an extra phone call. Sometimes that can go a long way as well. Don't email these patients. Don't text these patients. Pick up the phone and call. And what that can look like is, Mrs. Jones, Dr. Dincio was recommending X, Y, and Z treatment. And when you were here, you were feeling a little bit nervous and overwhelmed. And we really want to take some time to answer the questions that I'm sure have come up since you were last in. And again, just take the time with those patients. So the third thing here, time. I don't have time for this. So your solution is showing the cost of waiting. So reframe urgency, right? It's easier and less expensive to treat now versus later. But if you can show them that what it could potentially do to their teeth, to their oral health, if they wait, the cost of waiting, what that cost could potentially look like if we don't fix this issue now. It's going to get worse. It's ultimately going to cost them more money. So how do we show them the cost of not waiting? It goes back to your visual tools, really helping them understand and see the value and making sure that they understand why you're recommending it. Offer flexible scheduling for these people, early morning, late evening, same day dentistry. I love same day dentistry. Again, oftentimes we have holes and gaps within our schedule that we can allow for these patients. Same day dentistry, it was a great technique we used to use in the ortho office when we were presenting a case. And if the patient was really excited about it, we left ghost columns, and we would say, good news, Mrs. Jones, I understand your family schedule, your work schedule is incredibly hectic. You're already here in the office. You want to move forward. Let's just get you in today and let's get this done. And those patients are just overjoyed by that, right? And it's a nice courtesy to them. And they don't know you use the same that beautiful language of, where we can fit you in, or we're going to make this happen for you today. And then we want to use consequences of delay. And again, delaying this treatment to highlight the importance of it. So I'm going to pause there. And Michael, if you can kind of help me with this, I just want to ask some questions if people are willing to type some comments if they're not already in the chat about a patient experience that they've had, or give me an objection that might not be listed here if we have one. Actually, I'm going to end here. All right, I guess we're going to be quiet on our lunch hour. That's totally fine. Oops. And let me just fast forward through these slides here. Okay. All right, so our key takeaways from today are adopting an abundance mindset. So we really want to present that treatment with confidence. We want to uncover the patient's why, connect emotionally before discussing treatment, using those tools, that new patient interview questionnaire. We want to uncover their why, what's most important to them. And we want to identify the different personas that we have within our patient base. We want to use visual treatment plans, so make it clear, simple, and engaging. We want to overcome those objections through education and guidance, right? So we're overcoming those objections, again, by educating our patient more and guiding them to the right decision. We know what the right decision is, but we need to help guide them there. And how we do that is, again, utilizing what we've learned today about how to really get to know our patients on a deeper level. And then as a team, we want to celebrate team wins. Really important. If you put this into place, or even just one of these things today, track it. It's super important when we're implementing anything new within our practice that we have a tracking system, because if you're not tracking it, we don't know how to celebrate it. We're just guessing, or we're really good at it, and then it kind of fizzles away if we're not having a daily conversation, weekly conversation, monthly conversation on how these initiatives are doing and how our conversion is going. So super important to track and celebrate those team wins together. If you can do any of these things, I think that, again, just we're really big here at Next Level of implementing one thing at it and getting really good at it, one thing at a time, versus trying to give you 10 things or even 5 things and to implement, because we know that's not realistic within a practice. That's really all I have for you guys today. It was a short and sweet one. And I thank you for your attention and invite you to reach out if you have questions, if you want to take this deeper. There's, that was a very broad general overview of some things that I would highly encourage you to start thinking about. But really, this is a great thing that we really could jump in and get really granular with. And I would love to hear from you. Even if you just need a workshop on this, if you want to talk about how to implement a template, how to implement a questionnaire, a guideline for verbiage within each role, all of those things we help coach with. So I invite you again to reach out via phone, text, email, visit our website. You can contact us through any of those avenues here. We also have a podcast, Dental Unscripted. It's a great one to tune in and listen to. Again, on Instagram, Spotify, or on Facebook, Dental Unscripted. We do a ton of different content, you know, on all facets of the office, not just this one area of case presentation and treatment acceptance, but we really are a group who incorporates and encompasses everything within the practice. So I thank you for your time today. I'm going to end this and we'll
Hey, Nicole, we do have one question. I put it up on the screen.
Oh, awesome. I might not be able to see it. One second.
Here, I'll put it up this way. Can you see it in front of you now?
Yes.
From Dr. Goltis, it says past history of braces that did not end well. And that was kind of part like in the middle of your I forget which slide it was, but previous time and money investment. Does that help? I'm not 100% sure where he's going with that, but
yeah, let me read it again. Past history of braces that did not end well. Oh, I see what he's saying. Yeah. So I think that, I mean, if you're talking an adult patient, most adults have had braces before, didn't end well because they lost their retainers, or maybe they had a bad experience at another office or whatever it may be. And yes, they invested that time and money. I'm not about jumping in and saying, oh, well, you had it done at another practice. I had a doctor do this. And anyone that came in, oh, you had it done at another practice, you had a bad experience, we'll take 50% off treatment. Like, no. It goes back again to I'm acknowledging, I'm so sorry that you had a terrible experience in a previous office. Can you tell me more about that? How did it make you feel? What, can you really give me those details and understand what didn't go well? It's the key of shutting up and listening to what they're trying to tell you. And I think if we can get really good at that, then you're going to hear within that, it may have just been, well, they brought me back late every time. Or maybe truly their occlusion ended up terrible. You're going to ask maybe, well, in a nice way, what did your compliance look like? Were you taking care of your teeth at that time? Were you brushing with your braces on? Were you so on and so forth? There's different things we want to ask our patients. And again, if we can frame it back to interviewing them and really getting deeper and understanding that past experience, then throughout our patient journey and our practice, if we're framing this correctly, we will create that value and the time they're going to spend in our office to ultimately get the best result. But I'm not about saying and again, you can acknowledge it. I understand that you spend a lot of time and a lot of money in the previous office. Again, I'm so sorry it didn't go well. This is what we do in our office. We make X, Y, and Z a priority. But you're not going to, again, jump out of the gate and offer that massive discount like one of my doctors used to love to do. So I hope that helps.
I hope it does too. I kind of want to challenge everybody before we get off here. You did beautiful as far as time management. Everybody's probably heading back to the office or doing whatever they're doing. Yeah. Any last minute questions, folks, before we shut this down? And Dr. Goltis, if you have a follow-up with that, please throw that up. But Nicole, did you throw out our assessment, our case acceptance assessment that's available for folks to fill out? Didn't you create something like that? No, but we can email that. I wanted to email that post as a resource. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Any last minute, folks? Questions? I don't see it. Nicole, thanks so much. You did a great job. And we'll have this up on LinkedIn and Facebook if you guys want to rewatch this. So thanks again for participating. Great job. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye. Bye.